everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Enforcer and the Dude. We're out here at Willowbank, Ipswich Raceway. I don't know how many times I've driven down this section of road, go-kart tracks to our left and super motard track, a dirt go-kart track, and of course the famous paperclip as we call it. Man, I've done this loop quite a few times, and I can't even recall how many laps I would have done of the of this Queensland Raceway. Probably thousands when you look at Stone Brothers Racing. This was our test track when I first joined that team, and then later on down the road with Paul Morris Motorsport in the Supercheap number 39 Commodore, and this was it. This was our second home. Well, today is all about the first test for this ludicrous idea that someone come up with, that geez, it'd be a good idea if we went to Bathurst and drag Rusty out of retirement and give him another run with a new up-and-comer with Brock Feeney. So and just as silly, I said yes. So this is a big day. This is our first official wildcard test, and it's a big day. It's a big day because of a lot of reasons. It's where we get to find out whether this old body and this old head has still got it, and what it takes to punch in some reasonable times and numbers and keep up with that young fella Brock Feeney, but also get used to the car again, because the only time I've driven a ZB Commodore was Shane Van Gisbergen when I was doing the telecast duties with we did a co-driver session, and that was for the telecast, so that was the only time I've driven it. So it's there's a lot to learn. Obviously the game's moved on, and there's a lot to take in and put back in the hard drive from when I left the series. So it's going to be a cool day. Bit of pressure. It's a matter of taking things a bit calm and progressing slowly. Don't get too up on the wheel too early, but and a bit of pressure. It's funny, you reckon I'd be used to this by now, but even coming here now, you start to get butterflies and anxious and all the rest of it. Bit of a sleepless night last night. It's stupid. You think I'd be all over this stuff, but anyway. But that's good. It means I'm excited about it, and I am. It's a big thing. It's a big commitment for Supercheap and the 888 team to put this program together. So it all starts today. This is the journey, and I told you we were going to take you on this journey, and we're definitely going to. And what better way than back out to our old hunting ground of Queensland Raceway. So we're going to take you behind the scenes. There's a bit of fly on the wall stuff too, which will be really cool. So again, this is all about showing you what a test day entails as well, because I don't think anyone's ever done this to any degree of length as well, what you're trying to achieve on a test day, both from the drivers, the car as well, what you try and get out of the car, and everything in between. The dude, Paul Morris, will be joining us a little bit later. He'll take you on some tracks and show you some track, what we try and get out of, again, car and drivers, and at close quarters as well, because we've got the track pretty well to ourselves. So that'll be pretty cool, because dude's good on the technical stuff and everything in between. So strap on your seatbelts, because we're going for a pretty cool ride. So let's get out there, meet the boys, see whether I see my co-driver is here, young Brock Feeney, and we'll get the show on the road. So hope you enjoy it. It's going to be pretty cool, this one. So see you soon. Age before beauty, mate.
Yeah, that's normally how it goes, isn't it?
Here we are. Finally.
First day back at school, mate. Should be a good day. First hit out in the 39 rocket, so looking forward to it, hey?
Had a couple of false starts because of this, well, that's why we're wearing the mask, this bloody COVID thing. We had a couple of test days cancelled, but finally, Queensland comes out of lockdown, we're here, so...
a bit of a nervous wait last week, wasn't it? A couple of days ago, we're still in lockdown, so fortunately the restrictions are lifted. We got masks on still, but what a day.
I know.
Nice cool weather, perfect day to get our first run in, hey?
I know, nice cool. Times will be fast. Times will be
Hopefully,
fast.
you'll be setting purples, mate.
Oh, setting purples. Bit of pressure on, I don't know. You feeling?
No, not at all.
You feeling anything? You all right?
Nothing.
Well,
it's good. It's first hit out in the ZB, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a new challenge for me. It's you getting back in the saddle, so we both need to get comfortable with the new car. But I think the biggest thing, as I said, making sure we're all comfortable in the seat, working with the team, and getting to know everyone a bit more.
I started to get a bit nervous driving in here.
Yeah,
I had the old go-kart nervous going on. Yeah, a little bit, but I don't know. It's just the only laps I've done in a ZB is Gizzy's car when I was doing a thing for the telecast, when I was doing commentary, and that was like just one session. But so this is all a bit foreign, and obviously the game's moved on a bit. You've been driving the VF, so
yeah. I don't think it's going to be too dissimilar. Good thing is we're on the hard tyre as well, so it's very similarity between the VF and this for Bathurst. So obviously a bit bigger wings, but other than that, it should be a bit of fun.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, and it's important, because trying to roll into, especially on my side of it. You've obviously been doing the Super 2, but for me rolling into it, been out of the saddle for a fair while.
It has been a while, but look, we got 3 test days. We get plenty of time. That's all a supercar driver, full-time supercar driver gets for the season. So we got plenty of days, got plenty of tyres. Just good to get some laps in. Finally, obviously, this is lifted, so we can get out here and hopefully a couple more days in the future.
That's actually true. That's what blew me out when we did the whole, the whole program got announced, so that we get 3 test days. And that's all a full supercar team gets if you're in the main game championship all year.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're getting it for one race.
We're pretty fortunate, aren't we? So good thing we did a wildcard.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So I don't know.
Should be a good day, mate.
Plenty of green tyres over there, mate.
Exactly.
Have a look at that.
Bonus of being a wildcard, hey?
Hey? Oh, nice.
So Russell will get all the green tyres, and he'll just give me all the used
ones. Look
at
that. Nice. I haven't seen so many greens in my time.
Hopefully we can put some in. Yeah?
A bit of GT action as well. Should be good, mate.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Let's just get out there and get a few laps in and see how we go.
Yeah, nice.
Be good.
Game on. Who's out first?
Me. It'll warm it up.
Hang on.
Sit back here. I'll win.
Pretty Hollywood, mate. Up here, I haven't been in a sanctum of the Triple Eight truck.
Well, you never deserved to. Why would you?
You're harsh, mate. Yeah. Lucky I know you're kidding, and you've got the utmost respect for me personally and my ability.
Well, to be honest, you know full well I'm still trying to forgive you for 1998. Accident.
The Vectra that I turned into a Barina. You didn't forgive me for that one.
I still haven't.
I know. Hey, we were on for a result too. I don't think Murphys forgive me for that either. It was good fun though. It was up until then. It was good.
No, I really enjoyed the weekend. I mean, you think about those two times we came over to Australia and all that sort of supercars versus 2 litre.
Yeah.
You think about, geez, I mean, right now, think about the history of the 2 litre. You had Gow, you had Adderton, you had Morris.
Yeah.
And we were invited by Channel 7 to come to Bathurst 97, 98 with the 2 litre cars, and 97 with Brocky.
Yep.
Who rolled it on the first lap.
Found out about front wheel drive and how loose they
cold
are.
rear tyres at the chase. So that was an interesting
cold
weekend.
tyres, young kid.
Yep. And then the following year with you and Murph. And that was I always feel, I always pick up on those moments, where you really take your hat off to somebody else. Secretly, sometimes during a race weekend or a season or whatever. And that 98 one, Murph put it on provisional pole. On I think the Friday, and then we had the shootout on Saturday. And Rickard Rydell was driving for Walkinshaw in the Volvo, remember? And we had gearbox ratios that we could change. If you remember on those, there were, you had a cassette that you could change. We used to carry $250,000 worth of bloody gear ratios in the truck. Anyway, they hot rodded the gearbox so that they could put in a really long first gear, which was the most expensive gear in the gearbox. Into that Volvo just for the shootout, because you couldn't use it in the race. You would have burned the clutch out in the pits every time you did a pit stop. But for the shootout, they hot rodded it, and so that going up the hill and into the cussing, they could go down to first. Yeah. And
I remember that. I remember that.
And Rickard, who in his day, he was a massively good qualifier in one of those cars anyway. And just gave them an edge, and I was so, I wish we'd thought of that.
Something that you didn't think of. I can't believe it.
Well, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have done it because I wouldn't have felt rich enough to have spent the money on that first gear.
It's funny how you're talking about stuff like that, and it jogs the hard drive. And I remember when I was racing Japanese F3, they did it at, I think it wasn't Suzuka, I think it was Fuji. And they used to do it in qualifying, the same thing, put a real high ratio in. Oh, no, it wasn't. I'd tell you what it was. It was Formula Ford at Snetterton.
Oh, yeah.
The tight hairpin.
We come out of the final corner.
That's where I knew it was. What? You're coming out that final one. And some used to run the gauntlet. And use it in the race, give up positions at the start, because they'd obviously get a lousy start.
And the start was a bit uphill as well, so you had to be careful.
And hopefully they'd give them enough to come back through the field. That's what it was. And that, but in qualifying, use that gave them an extra ratio.
Absolutely. A useful ratio out of the final corner.
That was it. So
anyway, that was those 2 years, 97, 98. We had a lot of fun, made quaught a lot of money out of it as well at the time.
That's when sponsors paid decent money.
Well, the great thing was that Vauxhall GM in Europe and in the UK, they paid us to do it, and Holden paid us as well.
Maybe like Christmas.
It almost was.
Anyway, enough reminiscing down memory lane. They were good. I've got to tell you, it was good times. Here we are. Do you ever think this was going to happen?
Being out in Australia?
No, being here.
Having you in the truck.
With me sitting in this truck, going to Bathurst again. If you said this was on the cards a year ago, you'd laugh, wouldn't you?
No, never say never.
Never say never.
No, never say never. I mean, when I think about the laughs I've had about this sort of thing the last few years, great example is Garth. Garth Tander. We were like this for years.
Yeah.
You know, because not anything to do with really him personally, but because he drove the enemy.
Yeah.
Right. So first you want to beat your teammate if you're a driver, but if you're a team, you also want to beat the other Holden team.
Yeah.
So more than anything, you know, forget the Fords, you want to beat the other Holdens. So
and then here he is.
and then Garth, the absolute minute I heard that he was out of a drive, hello mate.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And we had a deal done straight away, as you know.
As you would.
It's crazy not to, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to be a pragmatist.
Yeah.
In the sport, probably in any sport, but certainly in motorsport, you've got to be a pragmatist. Same thing applies to Scafie back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he was suddenly available, and I said, "Yeah, do you want to come and drive for us?" Yep, bang,
let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that worked out.
So that was good.
That worked out. Yeah.
And we won 3 out of 4 races that we did with him. So and Garth's been outstanding with Shane.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
So you never say never, mate.
Yeah. So what's
don't expect it again, though.
Yeah. Nowadays, I never expect anything. Anything that does happen is a bonus in my life at the moment.
Yeah, Julia said that.
Yeah. Okay. So words of wisdom. What's your brief for me?
Today.
Test
day?
This is the start of the journey. This is it. This is where it all begins. Finally, after a few false starts.
Yeah, well, it's been difficult to get on track, as you know. So it's great to be here. It's probably a good day, actually. It's not going to be too warm.
Perfect.
A little bit overcast, but dry. Look, the first thing, which I know you've been spending time on, is get comfortable, right? Get comfortable. The second thing is to listen to the engineers. Mm-hmm. Don't try and engineer the car the way you want, because it'll be slow. Okay?
Thanks, mate. Thanks for your confidence.
It'll be allow them to engineer the car using all the experience that they've got off the other cars, etc. And to be honest, you're taking the experience from a driving point of view into this deal, Bathurst deal this year. Brock's bringing the speed. Help him achieve the speed safely. Help him drive within his limits. His limits are very high, but you've got to help him and coach him through that. And if you do that and do your lunchtime shift without screwing up, then we'll be in a good position with the Supercheap car. But today you just got to get comfortable. Get comfortable, understand how these cars work, and the subtleties of the cars have changed. As you know, there's a bit more aero than they had 5 years ago, etc. Probably everything's just a little bit nicer, but make sure you're used to everything that's going on, and don't try and be a bloody hero on lap 1 and end up in the gravel at turn 3.
Yeah, I think
You've never done that before, have you?
No. I think maybe a couple, but I think the young side of me is gone now, where I think about things a lot more now, and yourself when you're young and get up on the wheel and here we go, and first lap I want to be the fastest out the gate, and all the rest of it.
You're invincible and everything.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
no point in pursuing that program. There's one thing I can guarantee you: Brock will be faster than you.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because he needs to be.
Yeah,
he needs to be. He needs to be.
And if he's not, he's got 2 hopes in the sport: Bob Hope and No Hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
so
you'd want to be quicker than me.
Oh,
so,
100%.
Yeah.
And so you can bring the experience part of it to him, talking about driving at Bathurst.
Yeah.
Right? How to run a Bathurst day. How to get to the sweet spot later in the race, when, if you're going for it, etc., then understanding when to hold and when to go for it.
Because it is different. It is different, isn't it? I mean, it's different than any other race, and you're right. I mean, and I never stopped learning right up to my last time I did Bathurst.
I think
because
from
you're
a
always,
team perspective, same thing.
Yeah,
You
always
never
pick up
stop
something.
learning.
And if you ignore that, that's when it buys you. Yeah.
At your peril.
You got to learn from each mistake that you make, and even if the mistake doesn't, I've made mistakes that hasn't been catastrophic, hasn't ended up in the fence, but I've remembered it and gone, I remember that because I got away with it this time. Next time I might not.
Look at Jamie last year, who's he's done as many laps around Bathurst as anyone, won it 4 times, all the rest of it, been very, very fast there lots of times, and ended up making a mistake positionally on the track, going into the cutting. So only the liars don't stop learning.
Yeah.
Both as a team and a driver.
Yeah. I think that's what's made me more comfortable about the whole situation. Is something that the last time I was in the factory you said to me about that, don't engineer the car and all I have to do is, as I was walking out of the workshop, look at all the silverware that's on the wall, and I went, these guys know what they're doing. There's nothing I can teach them as far as setting the car up goes. So, but that's good on my side of it. I just have to concentrate on learning how to drive the thing again.
Correct.
And procedure, and that's all I have to do. So I don't have to worry about shocks, springs, and wings. And
you shouldn't have to. But you still got to be very clear when something's wrong.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when something is wrong, and you've got enough experience to feel the difference between something in a setup of a car that might not really suit you but probably suits the other driver or whatever, enough experience to feel that, and something that's wrong. When something's wrong, fundamentally, whether it's a duff damper or corner weight's not quite right or something, then you need to put your hand up, right? And say, guys, I think there could be something, an issue here, so that they can, and the sooner you do that, the quicker you deal with the situation, whether it's in your mind because you have a reference point from the past, or whether it's real. So it's important not to shut that side of it down. All we're really saying is when it comes to the ultimate setup for the car, I think it's going to be a question of you adapting to what the car needs to go fast these days, and then if that means you dial back 3%, to keep it in your comfort zone, then that's what
understand.
you do.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's always interesting because I've been with a lot of teams over my career and in all forms. Hey,
why is that?
I get bored, I think.
Oh, right. You didn't get kicked out.
I'm surprised Julia's hung around this long, so I haven't got bored of her.
I'm astonished.
Mind you, that could be a financial thing too. But it's interesting to see the dynamics of each team, how they operate, the structure in the team and the differences. And straight away, I even things I picked up generally for the short time I've been involved with 888, I go, okay, I know why these guys go all right. They're not jagging it, because there's definitely procedural things that, and the atmosphere within the team as well. The general atmosphere of the mechanics and the engineers and everyone to, merchandise to the cook at 888, everyone's, you go, okay, it's good atmosphere. And when there's a good atmosphere, obviously it's a good workplace, and then that folds onto the results, So it's interesting finding out about that, but I'm excited about it, and it's tick another one off on the box.
Hopefully, and hopefully a good tick as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's a fun thing to do. I remember the last time we did a wildcard at Bathurst 2013 with the Xbox car, and Matthias Ekstrom and Andy Priya. And to be honest, that was good fun to do, and great.
Nearly a good result.
it could have been. I mean, to be honest, I think the famous Frenchman, Ludo, sort of engineered them out of a potential podium there that day. Just by probably not getting the strategy quite right, and it was very difficult. But they were exemplary as a team, particularly Matthias Ekstrom. I mean, just an exceptional, one of those drivers that you just love watching. Whatever he's in, whether he's in a rallycross car or a DTM car or a supercar, and now he's going to do Dakar with Audi in this new hybrid car as well. very adaptable, great fun to watch. And of course, but we're not going to do the same to you, but when Ludo engineered them that year, they had no preconceived ideas about how a supercar should feel. Andy had a bit, because Andy'd driven for us before, Andy Brio, a few times, and but that was on the old car. They came in with the car of the future with an independent rear end, and they didn't know how it was going to feel. And Matthias had never driven one. Oh, this is a bit loose. And that's how Ludo had set it up. No rear wing, no toe, nothing. All about top speed.
Top speed.
And making sure it was quick up the hill and down the chute. And so they had no preconceived ideas about it, and it was loose. I mean, Andy was, what's going on over the top? And Matthias was, these cars are a bit loose. And so it was a great dynamic. But we're not going to do the same to you this time. We want to try and make sure that we sail the ship in the right way, steady, quick when we need to be, not when we don't, safe, etc. And try and achieve our objectives.
All right. All starts today.
Are you going to get changed or what?
I better get. I heard the big girl just getting warmed up, so
exactly.
We'll jump in, do some laps.
Cool. Okay.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Okay.
Talk later.
Thanks, buddy. That was the first laps straight out the gate in the Supercheap Auto Wildcard. Felt really good. It's sort of still getting used to everything in the car since I was last in there, which we'll show you during the day, this adjustable brake balancing, which if you watch Shane Van Gisbergen, he's got smoke coming off the thing, he adjusts it that much. There's all that sort of stuff to get used to. Obviously the steering wheel layout's a lot different, and the feel of the car. Geez, I'll tell you one thing, straight up the gate you can feel the aero. You know, I know on the show, Enforcer and the Dude, we've been talking a lot over the last 12 months about aero, you know how much. Until you actually drive the things, you don't realise how much they've got over previous model cars. And trust me, they got heaps. So all the things we've been saying about aero and what the other drivers are saying about it's hard to pass because you get aero wash, I can see why now. So that's the other good thing about this whole thing is I can bring all this to you because I can feel it firsthand. And you go through corners like 1 and 2, the thing is pinned like a GT car. Incredible amount of downforce, so which is great for a driver. I love it, the feel of it. But as far as racing goes, no good. So hence the Gen 3. While they're going to pull all this off, I think is definitely going to be a good thing. But yeah, so far so good. Had no excursions. Car feels good. Just going to gradually sneak up to it as the day goes on. So anyway, first head out, it's all good.
how's things?
Good, thanks, mate.
Good.
Good day.
Yeah, not too bad so far.
So, pretty funny day, really. The youngest driver and the oldest driver.
Exactly.
The first question I really want to know, what is there? How many years between the two of them? 50. How old are you, Rush? 58? 18. What's that? 30, 40 years? It's a lot of years. What's the difference in lap time?
It's not surprisingly not much. There's different ways to skin a cat in cars, as I'm sure you know. So it's really small margins at the moment between the two, but they do drive the car a little bit differently.
A little bit differently.
Same point, yeah.
So Russ is renowned for being pretty hard on gearboxes, especially when he drove for me. Does he still like banging them back down to the gears early, or
still going through the gear changes pretty hard? But probably the main thing, sort of looking gears and the big braking zones here at QR. You know, like it's a good place for braking and learning about braking.
So basically, here we got the data out of the car. It's a comparison lap. I assume Brock's in white, is he? Looks like
that's right.
He's a bit better under brakes, is what you were talking about.
See the pink there looks a bit like mountain ranges. That's Russ on the brakes, sort of on and off a little bit.
On and off.
Braking zone, bit of modulation. That's coming down into the final corner of turn 6 there. So we've got that input. Also got the steering input, the gear, and the RPM. And then you can see here through the high speed, just a bit of a difference in the approach. Russell's sort of slower in and slower out, but carrying more speed in the middle.
Across the face,
Across the face of the corner, so a little bit of a different approach there. And then just that trend under the bigger braking zones that
a bit of a high spike and then
on and off.
Brock's a nice hold there, hasn't he?
That's a pretty good looking brake trace from Brock,
What you're sort of looking for?
You're trying not to change the pitch of the car too much under brakes and shock into things. That's what you ideally want.
You find like with Russell with so much experience, I get back because I'm an old guy too, and the car's changed and things evolve. You've really got to try and roll up to this with an open mind and not carry on any old bad habits and old thinking.
For sure. It's that element of keeping it fresh and being open to opportunities.
Has he been going with that? Because I reckon he'd struggle.
I know Russ. I was working back with SBR back in the day. So he's obviously been successful for a reason. It's that balance of not changing for change's sake.
Yeah, and that experience for me is when you get in the race situation. I think someone with experience in a race at Bathurst can stop you getting into trouble. So cool, mate. Thanks for that.
Too easy.
No worries.
Dude.
Hello.
What's happening?
Oh, not much. Having a bit of fun.
Yeah. Take the TA2 for a roll around.
Yeah, just doing obviously the engine side of it.
Sounding good?
Yeah. Well, it's got a straight through pipe, so it sounds. This is what the supercar should sound like.
It actually sounds good. Yeah. I can imagine 24 of them would be like, holy hell. It would be like a NASCAR event.
Yeah.
It'd be good. Hey, I spotted you over here lurking around down the end of the garages here. So, as you know, some lunatic old dudes decided to pull the helmet back on and go to one of the toughest tracks in the world and have another stab at it. So, game's moved on a bit, hasn't it? What am I going to expect?
Well, the first thing is I want to thank you.
Yeah.
Because Garth always says I'm the oldest when we get back on the track. So now you've trumped me, so that's even better. So I'm really happy.
Yeah.
But the honesty, you're right. The categories, the cars have evolved, and they're probably guaranteed that the kids are not going to give you any room.
Awesome.
They don't give me any room. They're not going to give you any room.
So there's no respect?
No respect.
Okay, all right. So that's number one, no respect.
No respect.
Yeah. And what about the cars themselves? Because so we've done a few laps out here, and first thing I felt, which I've been talking about, everyone's talking about for ages, is how much aero's on the things. And through turns 1 and 2 here at Ipswich, the thing feels pinned. And now I'm thinking, okay, across the top of the mountain, it's going to be fast. Is it going to be fast?
Yes.
Scary fast?
It actually sort of is, because you're sort of on the limit and you've got to try and find that limit really much. And it's almost like a GT3 car now, like, because they are so aero dependent.
Yeah.
But the other problem then is obviously the aero wash when you're following someone. So you got your gains, your pros and cons of both ends of it. But the cars in themselves are probably easier to drive in some regard because of that.
Yep.
But to find the limit and then to chase and follow people, then it makes it more difficult.
Well, that's what I'm finding here, Craig, is that I'm sort of going out and thinking, oh, geez, because, you know, it's like as a driver and you've been out the saddle for a little while thinking, oh, am I still going to be competitive? And I actually find it, like you said, quite easy to drive. But then add another 80, 100 kilometres an hour on top of that, across a lot tighter circuit, up and down the hill. I'm going, whoa, this is going to be a bit spooky, you know, especially coming down.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because you're pushing the limits up, especially going over Skyline now. Even last year I noticed it took me a little while to get up to speed. Both Garth and I commented, because you've been out of the saddle only for 12 months, everything moves on. And you know, the Shanes and Jamies and everyone else, they just keep constantly finding the limits. And when you go there, and as you know, across the top of the mountain, you've got to be committed. And if you're not, you're slow.
Now, one thing that Shane warned me is he said, get ready about the physical aspect of it. He said it's tough work nowadays.
Yeah.
Is that because of the pace?
Yes.
Of it?
Yeah, the pace of the race. But again, you know, with all the new kids coming through, they just lifted the tempo. So at the moment, like the race when we were in, like you'd sort of spend 2/3 of the race just getting into it, and then the last third you're racing. Now it's when the green light goes out, mate, you're on.
She's qualifying
laps. She's qualifying laps from start to finish.
So get in the gym a little bit more.
Me too.
I've dropped a little bit. I know it's tough. It's been good though, because I've sort of, well, really the VF was the last thing that I drove. So I was sort of going from not driving anything for and then getting thrown back into it. How much it has changed. Yeah. Like in every respect. It's been pretty mind-blowing.
Well, it is. It's amazing. Like you look at the onboards, especially, you know, you got the rapid brake bias adjusters, and you got other adjusters, and you got Shane's like an octopus. Like he's got arms going everywhere, changing things, steering it, pulling gears, and you go, how does he do it? And I still haven't got my head around that brake bias, like changing it so many times per lap. That for me is just like foreign.
I know. I've done it. I mean, Ipswich has only got 6 turns, and I change it for 1 and 2, then forget. And like. I'm going, how do you do this at Bathurst? So, it's been a wild ride, all right. Well, look after me up there, mate.
I'll look after you, you look after me.
I always will, mate. Hey, thanks, dude. Thanks for the advice.
Just jumped in for our first couple of runs there. We actually got a really good tyre bank today, so because we're a wild card, we get a few sets of green tyres, so we've already been able to have a first hit out on greens, which has been awesome. And you know, just for me, it's my first proper hit out in a ZB Commodore, so there's obviously differences from the VF to the ZB. Biggest things, obviously, we've got a bigger rear wing on it, so a little bit more aero on these cars to the Super 2 cars. So for me, it's just familiarising myself with that. Fortunately enough, at Bathurst, we run on the hard tyre in both Super 2 and in the main series. So a couple of similarities, all the ergonomics are the same for me, so it's not as much for me to get used to as it is for Russell, but just familiarising myself with the new car. Obviously, I've been with this team for a few months now, but yeah, it's great to get a first hit out here, you know, drive the car for the first time and bring on Bathurst in a few months.
In this whole section of the track here, you're 6 down to 2nd gear and braking. It's a lot of work you got to get done in a short amount of area. When you're, like for us, it'll seem like a lot of work to do in a short amount of area. The more he runs, the more time he'll get to think about it. The big thing is not to bash the brake pedal hard straight away. You just want to ease into the brakes, get the tyre loaded, then ramp up the brake pressure. Here he goes, holding the brake, start to turn in. As he turns in, he'll start bleeding off. Still going for that high line, can't keep it on the bottom. But this corner does give you a couple of different lines. You can, because it's so wide on the exit and it opens up and you've got that link road there, you can, you know, even if you miss the apex, you can pick up the throttle a bit earlier and just get on with it. Now we're over at corner 6, which when you look at it from here, it's basically a horseshoe with 2 straights. So a lot of time to be made up under braking here, because the exit's tighter, it doesn't open up on the radius. You can't get on the throttle early. So you want to carry that speed that you have with the braking and basically brake and roll all the way around the corner till you get to that go point where you can pick up the throttle, which is fairly late, especially with the spool in the supercar. You know, once you touch the throttle, the cars just want to pick up the nose and understeer. Trying to brake in a straight line, but aim the car across the radius of the track. Try and clip this curb here on the inside, so it's the car's going in a straight line. You haven't got any lock on it, but it's angling in, leading the car into the corner. Good example there, like an older generation supercar. Pretty simple. Tried to pick up the power way back here on the entrance and just really couldn't commit to the throttle to this point over here, which means you can't go to there properly. So maximise your braking, carry corner speed in. Let's have a look. It's like Russ is out there now, he's coming up. Yeah, big braking commitment, rolls it in early. Carries the speed, just picks up the throttle on the exit. No surprise he knows how to drive that corner. People think, to go fast around here, you can pick up the throttle early, but on a corner like this, it doesn't work. Braking's the key. Big commitment under brakes, same technique. There's the car pitches, hold the brake, lead the car in. Transition onto a throttle. You can hear the throttle ramp. You haven't gone on and off the throttle. You don't want the car to power boat, so coming on and off the throttle, the car's going to lift up and drop back down, lift up and drop back down. You're still trying to get the car rotated and off, so that initial throttle ramp needs to be just enough throttle to get the car moving without taking the weight off the front tyres. And then one continuous throttle ramp, 0 to 100%. So pretty cool corner, get your feet work right, your footwork right, and you don't need your hands that much. Which you can see inside the car, there's not a lot of handwork going on. Another thing to think about these big stops is the sequence of the gear change with the sequential shift. So you want to go down the gears without exciting the rear tyres, without trying to lock the rear tyres up. So leave the gear change a little bit later into the stop. Then if you get to the last minute and you get a bit of understeer, you can feed it a gear to help the rotation. Perfect sequence there on the gear changes, car on the nose. Get some speed washed off, go down a gear, go down another gear, grab another one. Save that last gear change to right at the end of the stop. So if you get in there and you're a little bit hot, you've got something to rotate the car with. Pretty cool to watch, sitting from here. Never really done this before, it's good.
Right everyone, I thought I'd take you for a bit of a tour through the office. Well, it's an office I'm still getting used to as well. So as we've said before, a few new gizmos inside, and everyone would have seen Shane Van Gisbergen and how busy he is in here with things like the sway bar adjusters. Now, the tricky thing, I mean, these have been around forever. Front anti-roll bar, rear anti-roll bar adjustments to control the roll of the car through the corner. So when the tyres are new, you have everything up stiff. When they're deteriorating, you can soften the rear of the car off just to give the rear a bit more grip and make the tyres last longer. But the tricky thing about these is they've actually got presets, because you've seen Shane swing off these bars and he can just go from one position to the other without even looking at anything, because he knows where the presets are. So I thought that was quite tricky, instead of the old school where you had to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 back the other way, and sometimes you get lost, don't know where you are. But the biggest thing that I've discovered is this little bar here, which is the this speed brake adjuster. And anyone that's had any sort of motorsport experience or whatever knows a brake bias adjuster is usually something on the dash up here with just a rotational dial, you know, that rotates around, and you only make fine adjustments. Well, the trick of the week, or the trick of the year with these things, is they can adjust the brake bias throughout the lap, and the good guys will adjust it 3 or 4 times depending on the corner. And what that does is either adjust the brake bias to the rear or adjust it to the front. So say for instance here at Ipswich Raceway going through 1 and 2, you don't want too much front brake bias, because you can nip a wheel and lock it. As soon as you lock a wheel, it creates understeer. So you put more bias towards the rear for 1 and 2, and then once you've gone through turn 2, then you give it a push back. Again, all preset where you want it. You push it back again and put it either back to neutral or back towards the front for, say, the run into 3, 4, 5, 6, for instance. So you're back to a neutral brake bias or a bias more towards the front. So it's really tricky, but I'm still getting my head around all this, because for an old school punter like me, you know, you sort of adjust it and then you go through, I go, oh damn it, I forgot to adjust the brake bias, and you've got to be careful, because if it's got too much rear, you can lock the rears and then you turn around and doing 180. So it's a tricky thing. It may look simple, and the good guys make it look simple, but it's not, because you have to remember, okay, go through a corner, brake bias, roll bar adjustment, change gear, have a drink, you know, all the rest of it, maybe a radio message, so much going on. And again, from when I last was in, check the steering wheel out. Like, there is just buttons, knobs. It looks like a Formula 1 steering wheel now. I remember the old Larry Perkins steering wheel. You had flashes and a radio button, and that was it. You know, now you've got, you know, half the world on here, and but it's all things to try and make life a little bit easier with the presets. Wiper buttons, pit speed limiter, all the rest of it. But there's, you know, got a couple of paddles on the back. No, they're not paddle shift gear changes, mate. We've still got the old school gear change. This is radio and flashes. So yeah, so it's all, the game's changed, and this is part of this whole process of me learning all about this. You know, someone like Brock, for instance, most of this is on his Super 2 car, so he's used to it. For an old school punter like me, I'm getting used to this. So but anyway, it looks like the speed's there. I just got to figure out all this stuff. Oh look, actually, talk about this too. This is because this wasn't around. This like cell. This is a safety cell, both on the impact side, on the driver's side, and on the side here. It's got padding on it. And as soon as I jumped in here, it felt like I was back in a Formula 3 car. You know, because it feels like you're in that tunnel sort of deal. Seats very much over. Look how much distance we got to the door for safety as well. And this safety cell here for impact, is side impact. So great safety, but I think it's quite cool, because I'm an open wheeler fan. That's what I grew up around. That's what I did most of my racing. So I reckon it's really cool sitting in here like this. And like I said, it feels like I'm in a Formula 3 car with a roof. So very, very cool. I'll get my head around it eventually, and I'm sure someone like Roland Dane will only be too pleased to show me the ropes, because he's such a giving bloke, that Roland. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the tour of the cab. I do.
Good day, eh?
It was a good day.
Yeah.
Different.
You see me around the track watching all the different
I
spots?
saw you there, mate. I saw you
Keeping
taking
an eye.
notes. Got your the Norwell notebook out,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
taking notes. But yeah, she's different, mate. It's a different world than when I left it.
Well, looks like the wings are a bit bigger, doesn't it?
Oh, just a little
Looks a
bit.
bit easier through turn 1 and 2, doesn't it?
Mate, it's like a GT car.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, like how much downforce there. You get to 3 and 6 and it sort of feels much the same, you know, as what I remember. but 1 and 2, things pinned. Like you
Pretty amazing,
just got to make yourself keep pushing on,
All that-
go a bit more.
All that extra downforce, and it's meant to be the same VCAT numbers.
Well, how much have we spoken about that in the show?
Yeah.
You know, about downforce, and that's the good thing about it. This is everything that we've spoken about for the last 18 months, or going on 2 years, we've talked about aero in the Enforcement of the Deed show. This has verified it. It's not fictitious.
No,
It's actually happened. It's there, and I'm feeling it, you know, or we're feeling it.
Well, you would even notice Russ did a couple of laps when we had our Super 2 car up here last test day. It's a massive difference, especially through 1 and 2, from the VF to the ZB. As you said, it's nearly like a GT car through 1 and 2. And when you jump back in the VF, you're sort of wrestling the thing through the first 2 turns.
Yeah.
So,
But that's the same downforce, bro. On paper.
Yeah, on paper. Whose paper?
I don't know, mate. But
Jesus, they've hot rodded the
it's
hell
only
out
a water
of it.
bit on it.
Well, that's what we've said all along. They've hot rodded the hell. But Brock's absolutely right. Like, I did 10 laps in Brock's car here a few months ago. You know, you allocated 10 laps. That's all you're allowed to do. And I struggled a bit with it because it was loose and you had to fight it. You know, and it was like on the edge. But for a good driver, you know, he can hustle the thing really well. It's more about the driver.
Yeah.
Now it's just more about commitment, more so than anything, you know, but it's a lot easier to drive, I find it, you know, so it's interesting. Look, I enjoyed it. It's really good. It's really nice to drive, but I can see why they have issues in a race with aero wash and everything they've been talking about.
Yep.
Shane Van Gisbergen's been talking about it.
Yeah.
I get it.
You can't follow.
Can't
Too
follow.
much disturbed air. You're pretty close, eh? Did you think you'd
Did
be
it-
that close to you?
no, to be honest, I was very surprised this morning. Rolled
thanks,
straight
mate.
out on the pace. No, he did
Thanks,
a good
mate.
job. No, it's good. No,
I surprised myself, to be honest.
I knew you'd get hold of it. I knew you'd be driving pretty good because the last couple of months you've turned into old Russell, a bit grumpy and a bit gnarly, and I said, oh, he's back, you know. Russell, the race driver's back, you know. He's got the mongrels back. We're going to see him whip the wheel.
no, he did a ripper job, mate. Straight out of the gate, you're straight onto it. So, you know, we still got some stuff to work on, and you know, so do I, and so does the team. To be honest, we still got a lot of stuff to learn off each other. But you know, probably adapting yourself to the new car. But as you said, it's you know, sort of easy to get back up to speed. To that speed, I think the next few tenths is, you know, for both of us is going to be the hard part to find. Obviously, we got some pretty good teammates in our team as well.
You know, what do you got? Another 2 test days here, but Bathurst, right? If an Indy car is called an Indy car because it goes good around Indy, and a supercar should be called a Bathurst car because one place they feel really good is around Bathurst. You're going quick, you're not going that slow, you all always got aero on the car, so
It's a very good point.
I think once you get to Bathurst, Russ, you'll just be like driving an armchair and away you'll go, mate. It's going to be pretty cool to watch.
I sort of I came from driving in the gate this morning with lots of question marks.
Yeah.
And at least some of them have been erased. I've still got a couple of question marks, mind you, but I'm breathing a lot easier because, you know, yourself, you never know. You never know till you actually do it, whether, can I actually still do this, you know? But yeah, trust me, it's not easy. I still got to physically do it easier, but at least
That's
I know.
miles.
Yeah, just miles. Yeah, exactly right. But mate, it makes it a lot easier when you got a good toy to play with too.
Good team. Guys are working on the car. Some hitters out here, right?
Yeah.
There is. I think the good thing about what they've done with our wildcard, it's a lot of people, you know, still learning. You know, it's not just myself as a young bloke and Russ still learning as well. You know, they've got some new engineers and some new people in there learning as well. So I think it's a good environment for us to be in for the first
well, a lot of your Super 2 crew.
Yeah, my engineers, you know, carried over to the wildcard, so it's going to be a busy weekend, not just for myself, but the whole team, you know, sort of doing double duties as well.
Yeah. Oh well, first one down and out.
First one down, and I reckon it was a pretty good day.
Yeah.
You know, when I watched you two guys driving around out there, I had to look pretty hard to see who was driving the car, so...
Oh, that's a good start.
It looked pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty easy. Just look at the eyes, mate. I was the one with the eyes like this, all right? He was the one that just normal. Hey, hope everyone enjoyed the ride. It's been fantastic that we could bring this to you because I don't think anyone's ever done a real detailed in-look into what a test day entails and what goes on behind the scenes. And of course, you know, this journey that we're taking everyone on with the Wildcard Bathurst thing as well. And this is all part of it, is to have unrestricted access to a team like Triple Eight and the cars and the equipment and the crew, which we have so far, that normally you don't get to see. So it's been very cool. So hope you enjoyed the episode.
Do I Can I get one of those jackets?
Yeah, we have to get you a jacket, mate.
Yeah.
I reckon he knows a couple of people.
Do you want a sign?
I feel.
Do you want an autograph, mate?
Yeah.
Just in case we win, it might be worth something.
I'll have a suit. I'll get
Suit.
you 2 suits, mate, though.
Okay,
You'll have
yeah.
a spare suit.
A suit.
Give me a suit for the bar.
They look good in the bar.
Yeah.
Put it next to Dale Juniors.
Dale Junior, mate. That's pretty cool company. Don't forget, subscribe to YouTube and Forcer and the Dude. That way you'll get updated as soon as shows drop, and this one will be dropping very, very soon. So thanks, guys. See you next time.
There.